All right, now I'm in business. Hey, ladies. Can y'all hear me?
Yes.
Okay, good. I can hear y'all too.
I can. How y'all doing?
I'm
Good.
great. How are y'all?
Hello.
Pretty good. Hello.
Looks like we're all here. Um, all right, so let's go ahead and get started. Um, I'm Leilani. Welcome to the Boss Woman Network roundtable discussion today. I am excited to have all of you here. Today we're gonna keep it real and we're gonna be uplifting too. We're going to be talking about the realities of business and leadership. We're going to go deep. We're talking about money moves, confidence, partnerships, getting noticed, and knowing when it's time to pivot or walk away. So before we dive in, let's do some quick intros. Let us know who you are. So if you just give us your name, what you do, and everything like that, and then we'll keep it moving. You don't have to go, just keep it brief. So I guess we can start with Ashley.
Yeah. Hey, y'all. I'm Ashley Shante. I'm a vision strategist and a fashion consultant.
Okay. Sherry?
Hi, everybody. My name is Sherry Simmons, and I'm the owner of From Pain to Purpose, and I live in New York City.
Dr. Pauline?
Hi, I'm Dr. Pauline Elwin. I am a leadership coach, consultant, and strategist and speaker. And I have my own business, Elwin Innovative Global Consulting, that I provide different organizational leadership services um, and also speaking engagements. Nice to meet
Okay.
everybody.
Nice to meet you as well. Elizabeth?
Thank you.
My name is Elizabeth McCoy. I'm the owner of Your Space to Heal and Luxury Recharge Collective, where I serve as a licensed professional therapist and the Wellness Powerhouse, where my mission is to help 10,000 Black women rest.
And Paris.
Hi, my name is Paris. I'm the owner of Rich Girl Formula, where I grow large and small business revenue and profits.
Okay, so that is everybody. So I guess we'll kick it off starting about talking about money talks, smart financial moves for women in business. So money can be, let's be real, we know that money is everything in business. We need to talk about it more. A lot of us have a hard time. And we learned about money the hard way, but we're going to stop that today because we're going to talk about it and get into it. So, what is the smartest money move you've made for your business? Does anybody want to answer that first, or do you want me to just, do you prefer me to call on somebody?
I
I,
can
I
answer.
think I could go ahead.
Okay.
Um, I think really when it comes to like the best like financial, you know, um move that I've made is really investing in a coach. Like, I should say overarching professional development, that entails like, coach getting a coach. Even if I'm a coach, I think doing that investment had opened my eyes to so many different avenues and opportunities and just learning about myself and really when I think of professional development, like also investing in attending conferences, um, enrolling in like certification programs just to, for growth and mentorship circles to where I, just gain accountability. Like, I have accountability sessions with the mentor, with the coach, just to scale my business. And really, just it really accelerates my impact as a business owner. Um, and just attracting clients as well. So I think that just investing in professional development is something that has really accelerated my business.
Can I ask you a quick question to that? Do
Sure.
is this something like a prolonged thing, or did you like just hire a coach one time, or is this a long ongoing thing? Like you keep having this coach every time you run into some issues, or they're just helping you along the way as your journey?
No, so the coaching piece was for a period of time. It was like for 3 months. And after that, get being part of a mentorship circle and getting, in that circle, I, got a mentor assigned to me, which is, and obviously it's not, I think the coaching led me to be open to getting a mentor.
Mm,
Um, and also a sponsor because, people think mentorship, but sponsorship as well is, the person has your back. They will walk into a room and if there's opportunity, they will bring up your name.
okay.
So it just changed my mindset really getting that coach for that 3 months and, being able to, get a mentor and sponsor and just following through with that. It really accelerates like just my impacts, like my vision, my mindset, everything.
Okay. Does anybody else want to answer that? What is your smartest money move you've made in business?
Yeah, mine was pretty much the same as Dr. Pauline, just invested in myself, getting the coaches, taking up the classes, the certifications, just so that I can improve on what I do. So you could be gifted, naturally gifted in what you do, but there comes a time when you do have to become skilled. And that's when you need to take those classes. That's when you need to find that mentor, even getting in different communities and just sitting there and networking and learning from other people just so that I can be able to grow. And so sometimes the networking event has to be a paid event, just because whatever you invest in, that's what you're going to get out.
Okay.
And to echo from Ashley and Dr. Pauline, um, professional development as well as your network. You really have to consider how are you going to stand out and what are the things that's going to make you different. So, you have to have money. Let me rephrase that a little bit. You have to at least have some access to money in order to invest money. And so everything that you do should return an investment. And I like what Ashley said is that, the way I sum it up, Ashley, is that you have to pay to play. And there's only so many free things that you can do. And so definitely making just those financial contributions to your business, regardless of, what it looks like. But that I wanted to insert was learning how to make investments. And so this last year, I've just been having more money talks with myself, with people in my circle. Being that I'm a therapist, I'm not afraid to ask a question. Either you can answer it or not. I'm fine with it either way. But I do get that question out there. And I've gotten some really great mentorship and really started to understand my money vastly different. So, again, to echo Ashley and Dr. Pauline, coaching, networking, and then adding in investments.
Okay.
Can I ask? Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
I was gonna say my best investment was in systems and in people as a team, because obviously I can't do everything. So investing in people that can do what I can't do, and systems that allow my business to be automated, so I can make money when I'm sleeping, and I don't have to like literally be glued to the computer on my phone all day every day. So those were my greatest investments.
For me, I think that the smartest money moves that I have made is one, not being afraid to bet on myself. I think sometimes um, we're a little bit hard on ourselves because we do have goals in mind, but we feel like they are kind of like, I can do it, but it may seem hard. Very much being comfortable with putting out based off of what I know I could bring in. So I would definitely say those times are when I made the most money in my business. And I think one of the other things is standing firm on knowing the value of the services that I provide, where I don't feel forced to always come up with sales. I don't feel forced to always give discounts, because when I look at the amount of money that brands make off of me, I realize that what I'm charging, stand firm on that, because that is a money investment for your own self and the finances that you bring in for yourself. So those two things are definitely my best money moves that I feel like I've done in business.
Okay. So what are some of the biggest money mistakes you see women making in their businesses?
Being afraid to talk about money, being afraid to ask the questions, being afraid to charge, as Paris said, according to the value. Yeah, we're people of servitude, and always tell people that service is one of the least appreciated. It's most needed, but it's least appreciated as far as how people draw value to it.
Mm-hmm.
That's true.
Yeah, I would have to agree. I would also say, like, how we've been mentioning, like, the coaching and stuff, like, we're just afraid to invest. And we can also see that in our everyday lives. Like, when was the last time you've been to the spa and stuff? And so it shows up even in our business as well. So how you do house is how you do business, how I see it. And I believe that that is one of the biggest mistakes, just being afraid to invest in yourself and knowing that, okay, even though it seems a lot now, look at it as a seed for what's going to come. And we don't look at it in that.
I think for me, I've seen,
Oh,
I'm sorry, the biggest mistake that some women make is spending all this money on coaching, books, conferences, all these things, and they don't execute what they're being taught. So I'm like, you have all these books, you have all these classes, what are you doing with that? They don't do the work, and then they complain about, oh, I didn't get a return on investment. You didn't do the work. The work is what gets you the return on investment. So that's what I see a lot.
I want to
So for
add to
me, it's
that really quick. I'm sorry. I just want to add to that. I'm actually doing an event this weekend, and that's literally my focus point. What Sherry just said. I was trying to go back and look at your name. A big part about that is a lot of people are at a 10 on wanting to learn, right? So they are buying books, they are taking classics, etc. So they're at a 10 on that level, but they at a 0 on wanting to change. So when you are reading those books, you are investing in those classes, then it requires you to take that information and actually begin to implement, do the work. And then that's where they are at a 0 at. It's not going to be handed to you. And it's definitely going to be a thing where, you have to actually not only want to learn it, but you have to actually want to do it. And to add on to Elizabeth, which I liked a lot, is a lot of people do feel like, okay, based off of a product-based business where they have a tangible item in their hand and they know exactly what it is that they bought or they purchased, compared to a service-based business where it may be a coaching or talking to you, right? But the information, they don't feel like it holds as much weight because it's not a tangible item in their hand. But when you actually take what they said and invest it, I guarantee you're going to make back way more than probably what that one tangible item could have brought you, or what you are underestimating that the service they providing does. So those two things go very much hand in hand. So I just kind of wanted to add into both of those.
yeah, for me, I'll add to that. I think, just undercharging, for their expertise. I believe someone said that. Um, just for me, it's like over delivering and under earning, because they play small or they wait for validation, something to that degree. And it's really, for me, the breakthrough comes when there's transformation. Really, you're paying for transformation, not really time. If you're time focused, you have that mindset. You want to make your clients know that this is a transformative move that they're making. So yeah.
Okay. So basically, the next question is, how do we shift, basically what you said, how do we shift our mindset from survival mode to wealth building mode? So basically, it's just transitioning into that mindset. How did you transition your mindset from survival mode to wealth building mode to get your mind there to know that this is where you're headed, and you're not doing any free services? You know that you need to charge, and you know what you need to do in order to succeed in your business.
I think it's
Um,
charging what you're worth, charging what you bring to the table, making the money work for you, a lot of women. I find a lot of women, like I know some women with businesses, and it's like they're trying to prove something. They're trying to prove their worth. You know what you did. You're the expert in your field. You're the expert in what you bring to the table. So once you shift your mindset to, okay, this is my worth, this is my value, this is my price, and it's non-negotiable.
Anybody else?
I think and I think a lot of people do get into a space where sometimes they may feel like what they're worth, such as their prices, are taking long for people to catch on to them. So they're going a while without maybe bookings or purchases or whatever it is that may be, whether it's a product or service-based business, where they start saying, okay, maybe it is too much. They start looking at their competitors and realizing price points and comparing and saying, well, they look like on Instagram that they're being booked, and I know that I'm not. So they begin to compare certain things like what the content looks like or what the price point looks like, which is ultimately what it is, which again goes back to my original answer to the first question, where we begin to give discounts. We begin to give lower our prices and sales. One of the things I tell my brands all the time is when you begin to give sales, you'll have your brand and your customers, your audience literally sitting and waiting for them because they know it's coming. But when we look at large brands that we are spending thousands of dollars with, they're not giving a sale. Like they're literally standing firm on that. And if you know that this is what you want, people will always pay for what it is that they want. Always. So I feel like for me personally, my main thing was actually making more than what I expected by standing on my prices. And ever since then, I feel like I've never really lowered my prices. I may do things such as new brand prices, but nothing. If you've been with me for 5-6 years, you've been with me for 5-6 years because of the money that you've made off of me. So I think that is firm on it. And I always say, like, Rich Girl Receipts. My name of my brand is called Rich Girl Formula. And I say my Rich Girl Receipts because one of the biggest things I seen when I really stood firm on it was a free session that I did and the amount of money that she made in 30 days off of implementing my formulas. And when I seen that, I was like, girl, you are very good at what you do. And it literally made me not keep, oh, because it's new, because you knew, because that, I'm gonna give it free. Because when you went and made that money, ain't none of it come back to me. But you made it off of the formulas that I implemented it for your brand. So that made me really realize my value, which I knew it, but I think it made me kind of see my value more so. And I've been great ever since. And I think that the brands that I work with years now have been great, and they have not complained about my prices because of, again, what it is that they make off of what I'm implementing and the formulas that I've given them for them to monetize their profits.
Can I ask a question to that? So are you saying that you just held strong and didn't go price your prices lower because the sales weren't coming in when you may charge a certain rate? So for the viewers out there that's probably going through that, that's inspiring because you're saying you didn't change your prices. You kept them the same regardless of how much you were charging and kept going with that. How long did it
Yes.
take before you start actually generating a revenue, and how long did you go without making money
Yeah,
first?
so I didn't when I first because I started with my prices where they were lower, right? And then I began to increase my prices slowly but surely. But I noticed as they increased, the amount of people that were booking were getting less and less outside of the brands that came on when they were lower. But I realized that I was seeing what it was going on, and I was like, okay, I'm not going to just lower my prices to get more bookings. I'm going to more focus on why and what the benefits of my brand is to ultimately make you realize, like, okay, yes, this may be out of my considered budget, but clearly the benefits that she offers is what my brand needs. So I think sometimes we focus more on a price, then let's focus on increasing the value of the brand. Allow them to understand what it is they benefit of working with you, what it is that they'll be receiving, the value of who you are and what you have to offer, instead of focusing on, and that's instantly going to raise your price more so for them or make them feel like your price is valid for what it is. So I always say you're dropping a ball somewhere if people feel like, okay, well, I don't want to pay that, because that means that you haven't done your part on actually showing them and allowing them to see what this product or service is worth, and that this is the correct price.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I
Can
think
I jump in, Leilani?
Sure.
So I think the question is, because here in Houston, everything just like went out. So I think what the question is how do we stand firm in our pricing? How are we?
Yes.
Okay. So I wanted to speak from the side of a licensed therapist, because you'll see a lot of therapists transitioning into coaching because of the pay factor. But one reason that I have not is because I really believe that our people should have access to, and I'm not saying that coaches are not quality, please do not bite that off, but that our community should have access to licensed individuals. And so that they know that, this person has done rigorous work in order to provide this service for you. And so it gets difficult for therapists as far as charging your worth when you're dealing with insurance. And so I say all of that to say that if there's any therapists out there or anyone else who is on kind of like an insurance payment where you're not able to negotiate rates as much as you would like, you feel like you're never paid your value no matter what. One thing that I've implemented in my practice each year is that I depanel from insurances that do not pay me my bottom line. I depanel from those insurance companies. I work through a lot of third-party agencies to help with billing in my small practice, since I'm solo. If they're not making the payments, if it's not meeting the criteria, then I don't accept those, referrals anymore, because you do have to make a living wage. And as Paris was saying, it can be scary. It can absolutely be scary to think that I will not have access to, certain clients, or I won't get as many referrals and things of that sort. And I've hit that mental block myself a few times. But one thing I remind myself of is that, yes, I can work more and earn less, but that's going to put a mental strain on me. So where I'm talking about women, resting, making their money, being happy with their life, sometimes that does come with a little discomfort, and setting your boundary on how you get paid, whether it's an insurance company or a contract or individual client.
I like that. That's a good answer.
I was gonna say, the expectation that, your friends and your families are gonna be the ones to support your business. I really had to change my mindset about that and understand there's the strangers and people that don't know that are going to support you. Pay the invoice and don't complain. Don't ask for no discount. And when you're going into business for the first time, you turn to lean on your friends and family because that's who you know. But then I quickly learned that they just playing. They just want discounts. They just want free stuff. And no, that's not why I started a business. That's not what I want my business to be. I don't want people to, like, I think it was Paris or someone said, when you give a sale, that's what all people are going to keep looking for. I didn't want my business to be that. So I learned quickly, like, it's not the friends and the family, it's the strangers that support the business.
Most definitely.
One of the things I learned in business, running a product-based business and a service-based business, is my clientele is not the people that sit next to me every day or that I'm talking to on the phone. Those are not my clientele. And I think sometimes when we go into business, we get discouraged because those people that we think are going to be our first purchase people or whatever like that, they don't buy. And we're expecting those family and friends to be that as they are showing support. But honestly, they're not. When you look at it, I had a brand where I said, look at who you're looking for, right? Who you told me your target market is compared to who you told me maybe your friends and family are. They don't fit the aesthetic of your target market. So why would we be upset when those people are not purchasing? Like, I can't expect my close friend to purchase or be a part of my Rich Girl Formula sessions when she's not even serious about her own business or have a business. Like, that doesn't make any sense, but you saying they didn't support. So I think sometimes we get more of like, okay, the people around me are going to be my first supporters when they actually not. They don't ever fit the your target market. They are not the people that's going to pay your bills. And I think that we have to kind of shift out of that focus and realize it's not that they are not supporting, they are not your target market. So why are we trying to pitch to them, or why are we trying to get upset when they don't purchase?
And let me add one piece into that, because businesses of all sort run off reviews. And so I always think of when I put out a journal, I did have a lot of friends buy that journal, and it felt great to have that type of support. But because they were not the ideal client for the journal, they didn't connect with it the same way. So they didn't leave the reviews. They couldn't really sell it to their friends. They couldn't really tell other people about it. So I say that to say, yes, it would be nice to have support from your family and friends, but remember that your reviews are your word of mouth. And if they are not able to fully connect with your service, your product, then they're not going to be able to leave a review that's going to fulfill your funnel. So, it can feel a little disheartening, but it'll work out in the end.
And that's where we need to pivot, because I had a journal. I created a journal, and at first friends and family bought the journal, but again, they couldn't make the connection to, sell it to their friends. And I think that's where we need to pivot. We need to show that through our work, what what we're capable of, and why people should buy our product or service.
Yeah. And I think with a pivot, sometimes then that goes back to, the investing, because then you may have to invest in a whole rebrand, maybe who you're branding yourself to that's the reason why you're receiving a certain amount of bookings in that nature. Because I remember, I also think being in different communities, I pitched something to this business coach and I gave all of these things. And I was like, yeah, $5,000. And she was like, that's too low. And I was like, what? It's too low. And she was like, yeah, for all of this stuff that you're saying that you bring to the table and that you're doing, and you wrote it out and you itemized it, that is too low. And so that's why you're going to always get the people who's like, that's too much. And then you're going to get the other people who's like, well, why is it charged so low? Like, are you not that good? And so getting in those different communities and realizing, okay, there is more out there that makes you stand firm on your prices, that makes you pivot and rebrand, I think is necessary, especially amongst women, to do so and to say, you know what, this is the goal, this is what I envision. In order to get there, I actually have to put in the work and change up some things.
Ooh, these were some really good tips. Okay, so now money is one thing, but what about showing up as a leader? Let's talk about stepping up and owning our space. So the next topic is leading with confidence and how to stand firm in business and in life. Being a leader isn't for the weak. We have to make tough decisions, take risks, deal with doubt, sometimes from doubt from others or from ourselves. So let's unpack this. How do you keep your confidence up when you feel like an imposter? Elizabeth, I know you want to talk about that.
I do. I do. I have become the queen of just get it done. Regardless of what other people may think, as a leader, you're in that position for a reason. And you have a lot more variables in your decisions. And you're just going to have to be able to make that final call. Me and Leilani talked on a previous podcast, and I basically would reiterate it over and over that what other people think of you is not your business. And so if we sit in our own expertise, I don't need your approval. I'm not seeking it. I don't need your validation. I have to be able to sit with me and look at me each day for whatever decisions I've made. And I have to know within myself that that was a good call. Now, on the other side of it, I have to be able to say when it's not such a good call. It's like, oh, well, you could have considered this differently and such. But being able to look at it from different sides and trust myself and let other people have their own business of what they think helps me continue to lead in confidence.
Okay. Anybody else?
I think for me, leading in confidence means looking at the bigger picture, not just the situation at hand. So I notice a lot of people when they have this situation, they're just looking at how can I fix this. And for me, it's not about just fixing that situation. It's always about can I sustain whatever I'm going to decide to do, can I maintain it? So I have to look at everything that's happening, not just what's in front of me, in order to make the decision. And if I know that I can sustain it and maintain it, then I feel that I made the best decision. I don't like making decisions based on temporary things or things that are like in the moment happening because I'm like, people are going to be looking for you to continue paying out whatever you're paying out if you continue this and you can't do that. So I'm like, I need to know for a fact that I can sustain and maintain this. And if not, then we can't do that. We got to do something else. And for me, also, I am that person that has like goals from A to Z. And people be like, why you got so many? Listen, if something backfires, I got 25 more things on that list to run through. So that's just me always having this is happening, but we gotta look at the future too.
Yes. So one of my services I provide is strategic planning, and I've done, strategic plans for different organizations, 3 to 5 year strategic plans. And, when Sherry, when you talk about, having the big picture, I see it as a big picture, having a 3 to 5 year goal of where I see my business, what's the vision, and just showing up, and regardless, challenges and adversity and everything will always show up. But for me, it's just knowing what my vision is. It's on the frontal of my forehead, and I know what I want regardless of challenges. I'm going to still do what, again, and that's where the pivoting comes in. Do what I need to do to get to that milestone. And I just that keeps me grounded. And another thing is just leveraging like systems. We're in a world of that's flourishing with technology. Um, there's so many outlets when it comes to technology, when it comes and business. What can you what function can you use to elevate your business to, reach a milestone? So just looking in these different streams of technology and, using it to your advantage, works for me.
I think for me, leading with confidence have definitely been the fact that I am very firm that I know what I'm talking about. I think it allows me to, one, still be open to new ideas, like Dr. Pauline said, things are changing, being very open to hear different things, but also knowing that what I'm saying is very much correct. And that allows me to be very, again, confident on what I'm talking about. And people do pay a lot of attention to that. I get that a lot where it's like, okay, when you open your mouth about what it is that you're talking about, I can tell that you actually know what it is that you're talking about. And allowing me to be that confident in it is because what I bring to the table is not a thought where I'm able to say, well, I think this may work or whatever. I've done the work myself. I've provided product-based business, open brick and mortars, provided services to, at this point, over 100 brands. So I'm very firm that what I'm telling you does work. I have receipts to show that what I'm saying does work. So it does allow me to lead very confidently in whatever it is, on whatever platform, in person, virtually, whatever it is. I'm very clear on it. And a lot of people pick that up. And I think it's something that all business owners, the people overall, need to pick up and lead with confidence, because it do grasp a lot of people that want to hear more, and it allows you to grow in whatever space that is that you're in.
I think for me is Pretty much being a student, being such a student that I know what I'm talking about to the point that I am willing to fail gracefully so that I can be able to provide what it is that I need, right? And so to be that leader to say, you know what, I've looked out everything, mapped out everything. I've looked at all of the possible strategies. I like to think of it like chess. I found every possible move. And because of that, what I'm sharing with you, I know is going to work. And if that doesn't work, then I also got this plan right here that will work because I've looked at everything for you, right? And so when people love to follow people who are confident. You could be dead wrong, but if you're confident, they're gonna still follow you, right? And so just knowing that what you are saying, you show yourself that expert as that mogul where it's like, all right, I'm taking what you say and I'm taking it not just with a grain of salt, but I'm ready for the full meal. And so I think that's what's necessary. When you learn your craft good enough, then you're able to lead with confidence.
Can I add something? And I know that when you started this, Leilani, you said that we are going to be very clear, very like raw. One of the other things I feel like also with leading with confidence is presentation, right? I feel like we embrace, and I'll say when I say we, I'm saying us as on the receiving end, not being that person that's showing up with confidence, someone differently on how they look, how they present themselves based off of what it is that they're saying they offer. And I do feel like a lot of business owners drop the ball at times with that. And unfortunately, it's a bad thing because sometimes they are trying to figure out why they're not getting bookings, why they are not whatever it is that they're seeking, their target audience, their whatever it is, they are not getting that. And I think one of the biggest things is presentation. We have to actually show up for what it is that we're saying that we do. I use this example all the time. Sometimes if you look at somebody that say, I am a personal trainer, I'm gonna get your body right, and their body ain't right, we're gonna be like, we're gonna
Yeah,
second guess them. We're going
you're
to,
right.
and it's not to say that they cannot do it, but you have to show me, right? But if I'm only able to, we all know that people look at right what's in front of them before they hear what you have to say. And I feel like that's a big thing. We have to go in these rooms based off the things that we're saying that we're talking about. We have to look like what it is that we are trying to that we're showing, right? So I feel
Right.
like that's also definitely leading with confidence. If I'm happen to be talking to you with leggings on and a bonnet and I'm like, yeah, girl, I could grow your business. I'm doing 6-figure business. You're gonna be like, girl, I don't
What?
see it. You get what I'm saying? So I feel like we do have to take that in. It's a different thing when you are talking about leading with confidence. Sometimes it's not just the words that's coming out your mouth,
Your
but
image
also
too.
how you look as well too. We
How
do
you
have to
present
show up
yourself.
what it is that we want.
You know,
Paris, that's called leading by example. And I speak about that in my coaching business.
yeah, and I
So
was
yeah.
going to say, as a therapist, I've had a lot of clients compliment me on my dress because although I'm virtual, I still show up. I get dressed. I was doing my makeup, not now. I don't have time. But but as
You're
far
all good.
oh, thank you. But as far as just really still holding that professional image even through the camera. And I've really gotten once I redid my brand photos, which I need to redo, and started just showing up more professionally, quote unquote, to the standard, then I got a lot more referrals, and the referrals, they come. They come. Somebody told, it's been interesting that clients who just kind of ghosted me will tell other people about me. And I was like, oh, so and so, referred me and said I really needed to come see you. And I'm like, interesting. Something's working.
I had a mentor who always said, you are how you show up. So if you're
So
gonna show up like you just got off the bed and came on a meeting, then hey,
And,
yeah.
and you
sorry.
perform that way too.
Correct.
I did find that the more presentable that I held myself, just getting dressed in general is my thing. It doesn't matter where I'm at, where I'm going, what I'm doing. I just want to be dressed anyway. And you do, it gives you a certain amount of confidence that you are pulled together.
Yeah. Okay, ladies, we're running out of time, so I'm just gonna run through the I'm not going to ask as many questions as I wanted to because we were having such good dialogue. Um, of course, confidence is everything, but you know what else matters? That is who you align yourself with. Let's talk about the power of partnerships. We're not in competition, but the right partnerships elevate you and the wrong ones drain you. So how do you know when you're making the right connections without getting played? Um, how do you know when someone is the right person to collaborate with?
Kind of to keep it in theme with what we were just discussing, who is in alignment with how you envision your brand, how you run your business.
Mhm.
Partnerships, whether we're talking about in someone that you are a co-owner with or you're collaborating with, you have to have that alignment. And because that alignment is what is going to build that underlying or that foundation for trust to grow. So checking that first, and then just kind of doing your checks and balances as you all work together and see if it's something that continues, that we can continue to collaborate at different points, or, are we limited to this space here? And I think you'll always get your answers as long as you are present and you are aware of like what is actually happening in life and you're not just telling yourself your own narrative.
Right. Yeah. And also not dismissing the alignment, because sometimes you'd be like, well, this person is a good person and they really have potential. Yes, they may have potential, but for what you're looking for right now, they aren't the best person to work with. And sometimes it could be you. You're not the best person that needs to work with them. Right. And so just knowing, being like Elizabeth said, being aware, understanding what you bring to the table, what they bring to the table, and see how it can merge together and how you can begin to grow from there.
I think for me, my alignment goes with how people practice their business. If you say that you're a business owner, I'm a business owner, then there are certain things that you should have in place.
Quick,
I have the, I
Sherry,
have,
I can barely hear you.
oh,
On my side, I can barely hear you.
can you hear me now?
It's a little better.
Okay. So I was saying, for me, the alignment is more than how the business looks or what they present online. It's more of when comes down to business. Do you have your contracts? Do you have all your papers, things in order? Like, I know that I'm a business. I have my LLC. I have all these things in order. But when it comes time to do business and you're asking for a contract or you're sending somebody a contract and they don't even know what's going on, you're like, oh, you don't have a contract, or oh, when you try to negotiate with someone and they're just so firm on certain things in the contract that you don't like, I'm like, then I'm not gonna align myself with you because this is something that can be negotiable. It's not contract to be negotiable. I'm not asking you for a lot, and you're just firm in that. Then, so for me, it's not what they present themselves because I ran into a lot of people that are frauds and they have no idea what they're talking about. But when it gets down to that point where we're about to sign stuff over, then I'm like, you don't have your stuff in order. I'm not doing that. So that for me is like when it's time to get down to business, that's when I can really tell whether I want to align myself.
Yeah, so for me, it's pretty much the same thing. Like, do they align with my vision? And also I look for, do they complement my strengths as well? So it's really, and is it value driven? So, and if I don't get that, then, you know, I I really can't collaborate with that particular person. I think, for me, it's what unique, value that you bring to, my business, where we can collaborate with each other, and where, we can elevate each other's successes. So yeah, value for me, value driven, and just having an aligned vision with me, with my business.
How do we handle conflicts when collaborating and then still get the bag?
Always know conflict resolution. Whether you're a professional, entrepreneur, um, a mom, a teacher, whatever, you will always need conflict resolution. There are so many women that I meet who will tell me that I do not like conflict. I'm conflict avoidant. And I say, well, darling, I bet in your life, conflict really loves you because conflict happens every single day, no matter what. And so you want to know how to maneuver. And sometimes it's as simple as setting boundaries. We don't have to complicate it at all. This is my boundary. This is what I need. This is what I cannot move forward with. And then we can decide from there. So in order to get
And
through it, have the boundary and then move. If your boundary is not respected, then you just have to move on.
for me, it's open and clear communication, which, Elizabeth is kind of like flows through. Knowing, you know, just being clear on conversations, on decisions, and yes, it speaks to conflict too. Again, which if there's conflict through communication, we could kind of, you know, try to get over that hump. I think communication is key. And I always tell people, people communicate, you must communicate to understand and not just to respond. Some people, they want to like counteract you or before you even finish a sentence or a statement, or even ask a question, they're not listening to understand where you're coming from or understand the conflict. So just being able to listen to understand, communicate to understand, and not just respond. So having clear communication.
Okay, let's go ahead and move on. Okay, so having a solid network is key, but what about when nobody knows who you are? What's the point? Next, we're going to talk about visibility and getting noticed. And really, it's not about who you know, it's about who knows you. So if you're not visible, you're invisible. So how do you get noticed without feeling like you're doing too much?
I think it starts with sorry.
No, go ahead. I'll go after you. It's okay.
I think it starts with like knowing the vision of you, knowing what it is that you want to put out there and begin branding from that standpoint. So, like I am a fashion consultant, right? So there are moments when I'm going to show up and I'm going to have this type of color hair. This is how I brand myself, right? I've come from a performance background. So as an actress, I show up differently from someone who's in corporate America, right? And so just knowing what it is that I want to put out there and start from there, knowing, okay, this is the type of clothing that I will wear. This is the type of circles I'm going to be in. And going from there, beginning to brand based on that. How is the aesthetic of my Instagram, my TikTok, my Facebook, all of the social media platforms? What is it? How is my website looking? All of this, does it match the vision of what it is that I want to put out there? And from there, that's when people begin to pay attention to you without you even trying to do much, because now they're noticing, okay, you show up consistently like this all the time.
Anybody else?
Yes, just to add, as far as like branding and how you showing up, you have to just again make sure whatever your vision is for your brand, it makes sense on your social media platforms, it makes sense in person. Whether you are the face of your brand or you not. I work with some brands that's not, and they don't feel that they need to meet those things, and that's fine. But when you are pushing it out there as far as branding and showing, but also saying I'm not the face of the brand. Those two things have to meet and make sense for your brand to grow overall. But I don't think there's no such thing as doing too much when we are trying to bring awareness to our brand, as long as, again, it aligns with whatever our branding message is, who our target market is, making sure that it makes sense to our target market. I think you'll be just fine utilizing the platforms and the visuals correctly.
Absolutely. And having a very strong mission. I get up every day thinking about, do I want to do XYZ, whatever. And I'm like, I got 10,000 women to serve. Whatever it is, yes, I want to do it. And so just getting out of your own way and not letting people be in your way. So remember your mission, that you have and why you have it.
Anybody else? Okay, so what is one strategy that helped you stand out in the crowd, in the crowded industry?
I am myself through and through. And that's what I hear from my clients. You know, I am personable, I'm professional, I know my craft, but I can also weave it, you know, how whatever it is that that we're talking about, I can bring it back. So I've actually had one client call me the segue queen. So whatever it is that we're talking about, I can bring it back to the therapeutic focus. And people, they tend to like that.
So for me, it's positioning myself as a thought leader. You know, my work speaks for itself. I did research. I have a doctorate. I did a whole dissertation. So if you all want, to Google me, Google my work, Google what I've done, it speaks for itself. It's research. It's recent research. It's been proven. So. And also speaking, I speak all over the world on leadership transformation. So being confident in, execution when speaking, how I show up is another thing. Um, and engaging with participants, using data, using research when I speak, not only speaking on a subject, but bringing in the practical as well as the theoretical in my speaking engagements help, and just sharing the value of my insights. So really positioning myself as a thought leader.
I think for me, what has helped me stand out is including my children in my business. I'm an author. My son's an author. I haven't met any mom and kid authors, parent authors. So I think that helped me to stand out. People are always looking for, when I come on live, they're asking for the kid instead of looking at me. So I think that was makes me stand out, having the kids do videos, interviews, us together with my children.
I think for me, my brand name is it kind of makes people pay attention. Rich Girl Formula is very much like, okay, what is that? Like, what is the formula? And I think meeting the brand name itself with how I show up, I get compliments a lot about like literally just what I wear or how I dress. And I think those two come together really well for me. And I think just being, like Elizabeth said, very personable. People realize like, okay, you just like me, depending on my crowd or who I'm talking to. I'm like, I know we want to go out, but I also know that when we get in the morning, I need to get on a session, and it makes them realize that like I'm just like you. I went and experienced, struggles and still do to this day in business, but I also understand and realize what business is. I think those two being very relatable. One of the biggest things that you'll see a lot is I've never given like, okay, well, I done did this and I've completed this business, I own this business. You still feel like you still meet that same person at that same point. And it does make them more comfortable with me. It makes them more comfortable with growing in business together with me. So I think honestly, my brand name and then how I am personally, it definitely has drawn me a certain type of audience, and it allowed people to be comfortable with who I am and growing with me overall.
Mm-hmm. No, I have to say for me, just pretty much being myself. I've noticed when I showed up authentically me, I got more people who gravitated to me than if I showed up as somebody else because I saw somebody else do it a certain way and like that works for them because that's them. But for me, I have to show up as me and then I would get the right client.
Okay, ladies, today we're going to close it out because we're running out of time. We covered money moves, leadership, partnership, visibility, and confidence. So before we wrap up, let's go around. Everybody, give like a 30-second response on a big lesson that you've learned on your journey as a woman in business to the audience. We can start with you, Ashley.
Yeah, I would have to say impact. Think about what it is that you want to impact, and from impact will come the influence and then the income. Many times we look for the income, and though income is necessary in this world, if we're just doing it just for I don't want to say just for the money because we do it for the money, but if we're just doing it with the idea that, okay, I'm just here so I can hurry up and get a bag, then it's not going to be purpose driven. And sometimes you will get overwhelmed and exhausted. But if you connect it to something bigger, then you're going to always feel that refilling and that refueling for you to be able to continue to go out there and do what you got.
Okay. Sherry?
I was going to say that you're not going to be everybody's cup of tea, and that is okay. You know, some people prefer Starbucks or Dunkin' Donuts, and that's fine. Whoever you are for, they will come to you, and that's who you should connect with, and that's it.
Paris? Paris?
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm looking in the orders going in. I would definitely say just walk into every room like you're supposed to be there. Don't ever feel like somebody else is in a room that may be further than you, that you may look like to be further than you or whatever like that. Always walk in every room, speak in every room as you do deserve to be there, and you are qualified to grow and shine in that particular space that you're in.
Okay. Dr. Pauline?
For me, it's showing up authentically, being you, sort of what Paris said. I feel like, when I show up authentically and I share my story, I use storytelling, I get people and, they're very engaged. You could hear a pin drop in the room, could be like 100 people or 500 people. And just keep going. I always say keep going to people, whatever you're in your career, in your business, keep going. Don't let anything dissuade you or just, make you timid or fearful of what you're trying to do, what the big picture is. Keep going.
And Elizabeth?
Be comfortable and confident in you. Only you know what it is that you deliver, your intentions, your mission, just everything that encompasses you as an individual and as a leader, as an entrepreneur. Be comfortable and confident in that and keep showing up.
All right, ladies. Well, this is what the Boss Women Network is all about. Real women, real talk, real impact, and making connections. Boss Women Network, either we're making connections through the podcast or we're making connections in person. I like to bring women together because you never know who your next business bestie is going to be just from being in the room or being on the podcast. Giving out resources. It may be somebody that's watching the podcast that may contact you through watching the podcast. So thank you for being here, sharing your truth, for showing up for each other. Let's stay connected to each other, keep supporting each other, and always keep building, keep leading, and keep making an impact. So until next time, thank you, ladies, for joining me on this panel today. I hope y'all have a wonderful rest of your day.
Thank you.
You too.
Bye.
Thanks for the opportunity, Leilani.
See you next time. Bye.
Bye.